I'm a huge retro video game fan, and especially handheld video game consoles. And a little while ago, a company called Hardkernel came out with something called the ODROID-GO, which is a perfect little DIY kit that you put together yourself. It lets you run and emulate all of the old original game consoles from the early 80s, and it was fantastic. Battery life for days, and all kinds of great features. Well, they're back. They have a new console called the ODROID-GO Advance, and it's actually much more powerful than the previous version, like a lot more powerful. This runs at 1.3 gigahertz, which compared to the old one ran between 80 and 240 megahertz. So this is like way faster. This is up there with the Raspberry Pi 4. So it can play a lot of much more advanced game consoles, arcade games, and all kinds of other handhelds. So some of my favorites are the MAME arcade emulator system, also all the original consoles, Atari, ColecoVision, Vectrex, which is one of my favorites, and a few other ones that we weren't expecting to be able to emulate on a handheld console, like the Nintendo 64, the Dreamcast, and even the PlayStation and PlayStation Portable. So, as you may have noticed, this console is green. Like the previous version, it is a DIY kit that you put together yourself. And I spray painted the inside of my shell while I was assembling it to make it green. I got some hobby paint from the hobby store, Tamiya, and they sell a translucent color, so you just give it a couple sprays and it lets you change the color of the game console itself before you even assemble it. Another cool thing about this particular console is that it can run Linux natively. So this gives you a lot more options as far as emulators that you want to run, and even the drop-in operating systems that you can use on this. For this particular one, I'm using Batocera, which is a pre-made image that you can get from arcadepunks.com. It comes loaded with all the games and ROMs and everything configured, and works beautifully on this particular handheld. So some of the other new features with this particular console is we've got a lot more buttons now. So aside from the regular A, B, X, and Y, we've also got the D-pad, we've got an analog joystick, we've got a whole bunch of buttons along the front to control things like the volume, the start, select, coins, reset, all that type of thing. It varies depending on the emulator. We also have on the top, we have a headphone jack, which is new for this particular handheld. You have a speaker as well, but it's nice to be able to plug in some headphones and actually listen to the audio over your headphones. It also has an expansion port for hacking. The previous version also had that, and people were creating all kinds of crazy sensors and things like that you could plug into it and running software for that. And because this runs Linux, it probably opens up a lot more opportunity for that type of thing. The other thing we have is a USB port. This allows you to take a Wi-Fi dongle, plug it in, and actually update your games and your ROMs and your emulators all over the Wi-Fi. And also you can do other things like transfer files from your computer to the handheld all in one go. One of the things I didn't like about this console though is this. It's a 2.1 millimeter DC jack USB cable. It's not USB-C, it's not USB-A or B, it's this very hard to find cable. You can get this from Hardkernel and other places online for a couple of bucks, but if you lose this, you probably don't have another one laying around your house like you do with a USB-C cable. Other than that though, it's still a fantastic handheld. Game life is about 10 hours of play. We've got a giant 3000 milliamp battery, so it's really good for that. A 320 by 240 TFT LCD display, and it's just a great little console, and it's perfect in adult size hands. Whereas this one was a little harder to use with an adult size hand for long extended gameplay. Anyways, it's a great upgrade. It's only about 60 US, so about 75 to 80 Canadian delivered, and a fantastic handheld console. Check it out.